Hey, hi guys, good morning. Good morning everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Datacom stream. So today we are in week 3. So happy to see you here 8 in the morning. So early, we need to use our brain already. And today we really need to use a lot of your brain power. Okay, because today we are going to play a hacking game together. Yeah, you are in the right place, don't worry. I'm not PewDiePie, but we will be playing games in this stream together. To learn a little bit more about networking service and command. Okay, so for this stream, for week, I think it's week 4, sorry, not week 3, it's week 4. Yeah, you don't have any slides, so you only have, in fact, you only need 2 things. Of course, the first one will be the game file. So today, we will be doing this on Packet Tracer again. It will be like a hacking challenge where we will be playing as a spy, and then we get into the Apple campus, which is somewhere in the US, and then we want to do something bad lah. Okay, it's not that all hackers are bad, but just that today the hacker that we are playing is actually a bad person. Okay, we don't want to say he's bad. He's just like he want to know what is the next MacBook Pro is going to look like, because we have been waiting for the next MacBook Pro for so long. We cannot wait for the leakers anymore. So today we want to play as Alex. We will hack into the campus and then try to mess with the network a little bit. So while doing so, we'll be also learning about a few concepts that is important and the concept behind how these hacks work. So if you want to learn more about the hacks, you check the link in the descriptions down below. There's actually a resources pack. Okay, now inside the resources pack, you will see something like this, which are a few graphics here. Now, depending on how you like to do it, okay, if you are those people who like to draw while I'm showing you some stuff here, then you can download this file and then you can draw the concept as I explain later. Or if you think that maybe I don't need, then you can just listen to the concept. But I still think it's important for you to know how the hack works. Okay, it's not just okay, I type a command and click download a program and press run and then yeah, I'm a hacker. Then everybody is a hacker. Why am I still here? Okay, so today we'll be doing something like that. Now, of course, if you have an iPad, then it's even great, because then you can just draw according to what I'm drawing here. Okay. Now, if you don't have an iPad, it's fine. Just take this video, show it to your parents, and you tell them that I need an iPad to survive. Then you get a free iPad. Don't even have to wait for Christmas. Okay. Now, last week attendance. Some people just care about attendance. Yeah. Anyway, attendance for week 3, I will scan for everyone. In fact, I already add for everyone. So by right now, you should get all your attendance for week 3. Now for week 4, this week, you have to scan on your own. So the reward for this game, if you finish the game later in time, hopefully, otherwise you won't get a QR. Now, if you finish in time, then you'll get a QR code by the end of the challenge, and you can scan your QR for week 4. Okay. So yeah, oh, cheese and pizza is awake finally. Now, before we start, let me play you an intro about this challenge to get you to give you the kick, and then we will go into the packet tracer challenge today. So again, you will need to make sure you have this ready, and you also need to open Try Hack Me at the same time. So the link for Try Hack Me is already given on the chat. Check on your left or your right, somewhere here. Yeah, you can click on the link and go to this Try Hack Me today. All the challenge here will be based on this Try Hack Me challenge. So that will be what we are going to do for this 2 hours. Okay.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to penetrate the highly secured archive inside the Kremlin and retrieve Kobolt's file before he can destroy it. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Ethan.
Okay guys, welcome back. I just rushed back from the hacking scene back to in front of my PC to continue streaming. It's not easy to do this job. Heavy breathing. Yes, finally, it's not me, it's my evil twin who just look like me. I have my mom got 2 kids. One good, one evil. I'm the one who make her proud. That is the other one who always make her headache. So I am the good one. Oh, somebody noticed my hair dryer. That is my hair dryer that I worked so hard to buy. I hope Dyson watch this video and then sponsor my channel. Okay, now guys, if you are ready, then we will go into the hacking game now. Okay, now of course it's not just purely we want to do hacking. Okay, you have to understand the concepts that works behind the scene on like what are all the things that is working. So just give you another backstory again, just in case you don't get the video. Now, Alex is a hacker, so he was sent by a company, and he pretend to be a legal staff, so legal employee in Apple. Nobody know until you do something bad, right? So, he get in just like any company that you go to lah. The first day you go and report yourself, they will give you a company laptop, and then they will do all the network setting for you because they don't want you to mess with the setting. Okay. Now, so what happened is Alex, he got in, he got a job. I don't know how, but yeah, he got a laptop here. Now you see a file not found. This one is actually Alex PC. But as a hacker, you don't want people to know what PC that you are using. So you want to put found not found here. So this is a bug. Sorry, this is a feature, not a bug. Okay, not a bug. This is a feature. Okay. No lah. The truth is this file, actually the image file is missing, so you cannot see this. Anyway, this is not important. With this, we can still use the file, so that is not an issue. So now you just need to know. For start, Alex is using a PC here. He is connected to Apple campus network. So this whole thing here, the yellow color one, is an Apple network. Okay. Now of course you have to be an employee to get in lah. And then this is the IP address that is currently assigned to Alex PC. So it's 192.168.1.88. Now this is very common one, because every time you go to a company, when they assign you a hardware, a laptop, or I'm sure in this case it's a MacBook because you're already in Apple, normally they already put the IP address for you. So it's a static IP. Okay, the reason is very simple. If I allow a DHCP server or anyone to randomly take any IP, then it's very difficult for me to know who is what IP. Then if let's say bad thing happen, so like this case, bad thing is going to happen, calm before the storm. Now, then you cannot trace who is the bad guy. If I fix the IP like this, 1.88, then I have an address book. I know 1.88 is Alex, so if later on I say, hey, someone is hacking my network, it comes from the malicious traffic come from 1.88, then I check the address book, this is Alex, he is a spy. This is how I know. So normally in a company, this is why they assign you a static IP. Alright? Yeah, let's introduce to you. So we have Steve Jobs here still working, because still working here. This is 2012. Mark Zuckerberg is an intern before he became famous. He's an intern in Apple. Actually, no, I don't know when he started Facebook, but anyway, we have 3 users here. So these 3 is the real user, the real employee, and then you have 2 servers, and then this is the hacker. Now, before we start, a disclaimer, I want you to be very clear about this. Right now, what you're seeing here is called a network topology. Topology means that it's like the map. If you play like PUBG or anything, any game, Dota, you have a mini map. So topology is like a map to a network, a mini map. But actually, you are not supposed to see this. Okay, and what you should see is actually from the point of view of Alex. So it's like an employee with a laptop that don't see the whole network, because as an employee you're not supposed to see this whole thing. Okay, so right now we cheat a little bit lah. We can see the whole network, how it looks like, how many devices we have. But as you play a game later, you should know that you are not supposed to see this figure right now. Okay, because as an employee you cannot see the whole network design. Alright, so let's talk about what we want to do first. Actually, all the things that our boss assigned to us is already in Try Hack Me, so we'll just go through them one challenge at a time. And yeah, if you choose to accept the missions, then we'll start the challenge together right now. If you don't choose to accept the missions, you can go back to your bed, but you don't have your QR code. So let's do this slowly, and then as we move, I'll explain why we are doing certain things. Okay. Yes, the computer is iMac, the colorful iMac, but not the 24-inch one. The one that your grandpa used, like the CRT one. Okay, let's go to Try Me first. Okay, now we have 3 challenges here today. We will do all of them, and then by the end, let's say you finish this challenge with me right now. If you are not watching this from the phone, I hope, then you will get a celebrations animation. That is really, really cool. That is like the best feeling ever when you see that celebration. As a nerdy hacker who is always alone, that is a best celebration for me. Okay, now, before we can answer these questions, you need to solve some of the challenge in the challenge file itself. So some of them you need, some of them you might not need lah. So let's look at this one by one. Okay, what is the IP address of Alex PC? Okay, Now we need to find what is Alex IP. So go back to the game file here. This is Alex PC. Now of course you cannot see this, this is not real. So technically the right way to do it is you have to get into the PC here, and then two ways. Now remember I said there are two types of people. Either you are the keyboard guy, you like the command, so you are the command guy, you like the sound of the mechanical keyboard clicking, tap, 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 then you use command. If you like to use your mouse and UI, then you use a UI version. Now it's the same in the real world. Even for programming or even machine learning right now, I'm sure you have heard of machine learning, deep learning, like all the boss right now, if they want to look cool, a black sunglasses is not enough anymore. You need to tell people I know machine learning, I know deep learning. Then people think, wow, this guy is so cool. Yeah. Then even for those people, you don't have to be really good in programming to be an expert in data science or AI, because now they have so many things that come with UI. So I can tell you, like you even right now after this class, you go and try to build an AI model. You don't need to know any programming. You can build an AI right out from the box using like Google Cloud or AWS. They have all these UI versions. Now, of course, if you know programming, then you can just use Python, and then you can use some Keras or something to build your AI. So that's AI. Okay, we don't want to talk about AI here, but I just want you to know that in computer science, it doesn't mean that you are cool if you know command. Okay, it just means that you can buy a mechanical keyboard and then it looks great. Anyway, come back to this. So I will show you the UI versions. You can just, but of course this is not real, this is not a real OS. So from packet tracer, this is how you get it. This is my IP address here. Now you see there are static and dynamic. Okay, so a little bit more about static and dynamic. If you want random automatically get an IP, this is where you go to. But you need a DHCP server. A DHCP server is the server that gives IP address to all the PC that's trying to connect to the network. Alright, static is you have to key in manually. Now static and dynamic is not like one is better, one is not so good. They are here for different reasons. So static is you want to control, like what I said earlier. You want to know who use what IP, then you use static. Okay, but it's a problem because let's say if I'm working in Apple, you know, you have millions of workforce. I have to manually key in one by one for how many people. So what it means is OT, which is why you have so many OT when you work in IT field, because you have to do all this weird stuff like key in IP address for 100 PC. So you don't want to do that. Sometimes you will just use a DHCP. Of course, when you use a server, it is automatically done. You save a lot of time, but then you lose a bit of control. Like you cannot know who use what device anymore unless you do certain things like MAC address tracing. Okay, that will be out of the scope of this class. So anyway, right now for LXPC, Apple is currently using the static IP. So this is the IP. Now of course the command guy will go to the command prompt. Okay, the command prompt, and then type IP config. You will get the IP address of LXPC right now. Okay, so with this IP here, you can go back to try hack me, and then you type 192.168.1.8, submit, and you should get your first mark of the day. Okay, first mark is always the most special one, just like your first love. Doesn't matter how many you have now. Okay, now after that we'll go a little bit faster already. Okay, what is the type of IP address assignment? So like I say here, there are two, either static or dynamic. You can click on the hint if you want. So here, this is a static. Okay, what is the router IP? Now, like we said earlier, router is very important. No router, no internet. You want to go to another LAN, you need a router. And we can know what is the router IP easily from the command prompt also. From here, default gateway. Default gateway means router. So this is my router IP, 1.254. Okay. Now, of course, you can just cheat a little bit. You can just like look at it from here. This is my router and then 1.254. But again, like I say, if you want this game to be realistic, you are not supposed to see this IP here. Okay. So let's go here and then type in 192.168.1.254. So yeah, done. So quick. Now I feel like I'm a hacker already. Okay, what is the DNS server IP? DNS server. Okay, right now, to make it easy, just think or for DNS server is a server that you need if you want to browse a website. So without DNS, you cannot see any website, even though you are connected to the internet, even though you have the fastest internet. But without a DNS server, every time you browse to a website, you will see website is not available or website cannot be displayed. Okay, this is because DNS is the guy who do the domain name translations behind the scene. Now in the short while I'll explain more, but right now just think of this as a server. A DNS is a server that help you to see a website. Okay, now Alex DNS server. If you want to see the server IP, you need to use the IP config/org. This command here. Press enter and then you should see a DNS server which is 1.10 here. So this is the DNS server IP. Okay, now with this IP, go back to try hack me. So this is a .10. Then let's go here and then put in where is my one 10. So I think this is like really straightforward. It's just like treasure hunt. You just need to find the right info from the right place. Okay, so no hacking yet, no hacking yet. Please don't post any story telling people I'm hacking right now. Wait for a little bit. Okay, can Alex connect to the network wirelessly? So this is like a bonus question. In UTA it's like that. All the exam is like, okay, it's very difficult until suddenly it become very easy, because the examiner who set the question suddenly feel guilty. Then he make one easy question for you. So this is that kind of question. Okay, so ask whether you can connect with wireless connection. So actually it's very easy for you to see here. You come to this PC here, when you type IP config, you only see one adapter, means no Wi-Fi adapter. So answer is cannot. If you can connect to Wi-Fi, or you can connect with Wi-Fi and wired at the same time, also if you want to do that, then at this place you should see more than one adapter. You should have another one here. But right now what we see is only one. So we can tell very sure for sure that there is no Wi-Fi card here. So I cannot connect to a Wi-Fi network. Okay. Now, if you want to add a Wi-Fi card in the PC, this is how you do it. You go to the physical tab here, and then you see this is the Wi-Fi card with an antenna. So very good signal. Later Steve Jobs can also talk to you from heaven. So you just take this one and then you put here. Then after that, your PC got two adapters. You can use wired and or Wi-Fi. Okay, now I'm not going to do this here because for me to do so, I have to turn off the machine. So I will just leave it here. But if you want, you need to make sure that you turn off the machine. This is the power button. Click and then it will turn off. So real. Packet tracer is so real. And then you can drag this. Okay, now I cannot lah because the power is on. My mother said don't touch any PC internal if you haven't turned it off. So listen to your mother. Okay, now if this is done, yeah, I also don't know why Apple saved this kind of money. Jermaine, you are from First World. It's different from our side, okay? I have to do two jobs. I have to hack into the campus and then I have to come back here streaming in 1 hour. Jermaine is living a good life, so he cannot accept a laptop without Wi-Fi. Okay, now go back to try hack me. This is a very simple question, so you just need to put in yes or no. So it's Y or N. In this case, we know for sure is no. Okay. Now, last one here. Last one, we need to go back to the packet tracer, and then we need to change the IP address. Now this one on try hack me, do nothing, no need. Later on when you finish, only you click here. Don't click first lah, then you are cheating again. You don't want to cheat so many times in a day. So later we do this in the packet tracer, then we come back here. So he wants us to change Alex IP. Okay, so what we do is we go here. Now changing IP is depending on whether you want to use static or dynamic. In this game, we will just use a static one to make things easy. Okay, change IP is here. So again, you go into the Alex PC, go to IP configurations, the first one. Okay, then here you change. Now why you want to change? Let's talk about why you want to change. Okay, now when we assign static, like I say, now Apple is going to know if you do something bad. Like even if I download a movie, Apple is going to know because the traffic comes from .88, which is you. Okay, so if you want to do anything like is not in the network policy, the very first thing is you have to change your IP already. You cannot let people know you are doing it from your IP that is assigned to you. Now, of course, here you can assign this IP to any other IP, depending on. Okay, hold on. You can just assign to any IP which is within the range. Now, in this class, I don't want to spend too much time to explain the IP addressing yet, so I will just let you know what is the range of the address that we can use. But in next class, okay, in lecture 4, I will teach you how to calculate for all these things. So first thing is you need to make sure you assign an IP that is within the network range. Okay. Now the second thing is it cannot be just any random number. You want to make sure the IP you use is not used by other devices. So this is the two things that we need to make sure of. Okay, now first thing, if you assign an IP randomly out of the scope, then you will be disconnected. You are not in the same network anymore, even though you are physically connected in the same network. Alright. Now second thing is if I just use any IP, I might just go and put 1.1 here. Okay, if I put 1.1 here, I will have IP conflict because this is already used by other people. So it's not really okay if I just randomly assign. Then you have an IP conflict. It's even worse. Then they know for sure you are hacking, or you want to do something bad. So first thing is you need to make sure it's within the range, and the range for this network is 192.168.1.0 until 192.168.1.255. So this is the range, okay, network address range. Okay, now of course, as you will learn next week, the first address is actually a network address. So we call this a network address, which is to represent the whole Apple network. So this address cannot give to a single PC. A single PC can only use the IP which start after this network address. So the usable address is starting from 192.168.1.1 again, because this one cannot use. So the first address that we can actually start to use is .1 until the last address that you can actually use is 254, not 255. This is a broadcast address which is used to send a data to everyone in the network. So this is just an intro. Next week we will look at this again. Okay, remember this, in the network address range, the very first one is a network address. This one cannot give to any host. So, and again, this one is the last address, which is a broadcast address, cannot give to any host. Which means that if I want to give IP to Alex right now, I can choose any IP within this range. So let's say if I take 192.168.1.188, that is okay, it's within range. If I take 192.168.1.2.212, this is not okay because this is out of range. Okay, now if I put 192.168.1.1, this is also not okay because this is already used by someone else in the network. Okay, now you don't want to trigger any alarm, otherwise they will come after you. Now you see it's already in use. So how do we know, like, okay, what IP is already used by anyone here? Now there are two ways you can do this. The first way is you can use a ping scan with NMAP. The other way is you can just use the command. So now I will just show you the command prompt way. Okay, now think about this thing again. This address is the trick for us to crack this challenge. Now this one, like I said earlier, is a broadcast address. So a broadcast address means that if I send a data right now to this address, it will be sent to everyone in this network, which is why it is called a broadcast. So this is something new for you. If you want to talk to everyone in your house, like, okay, dinner time, your brother is still playing game, your sister is still listening to Apple Music, your dad is still outside washing the car. So you want everyone to come to the dining hall for kitchen. You don't want to call one by one. Send a packet, send a message, dinner is ready, send it to the broadcast. Then everyone that connect to the same Wi-Fi get your message. But of course, I don't know what apps you're going to use now. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to use this address now. And then we want to do a ping. Okay, why we do a ping? Okay, we know that ping is used to check connectivity between two hosts. Alright, which means that now if I ping to PC1, if I get a reply, it means that this PC is online. And I also know this IP is used by PC1. This is the concept here. So what we want to do is actually you can just go to Alex PC here. Okay, now let me assign an IP back. You don't want to do this yet, okay? You don't want to change this. So you're supposed to have this, and then you go to the command prompt. Now we can just ping one IP at a time. Okay, that is if you are the hardworking guy, then you can know who replied to you. If you get a reply, let's say from 1.1, sorry, then you know, okay, this is a reply. So I know 1.1 is already used by someone. See, this one shows us that the network coverage is so good. Steve Jobs from the heaven can still reply to you. So yeah, Steve Jobs is still alive, 1.1. Then you can repeat the same thing, 1.2. Okay, now 1.2 is online. Then I want to try 1.3. And then you will go OD again because you want to try for 254 address. Then you have OD again. So the clever way to do it is you don't have to ping one by one. In fact, you can just ping this to 255, which is again, this is the broadcast address of this network. Okay, this is the broadcast address, this address. Now, if I ping the broadcast, you know that everyone will get a ping, and everyone who is alive right now in the network will reply to you. So this is how it looks like. Press enter, you see, wow, boom, one button, one click, everyone replied to me. So of course, again, this one you will get 4 reply from each host, because on Windows when you try to ping, it's always 4 reply, 4 requests, 4 ICMP requests. On the Linux, it's different. Linux is unlimited. When you ping on the Linux, it will not stop until you stop it. All right. So which is why you get some of this reply which is from the same address. So what you really need to know is you can just count. Okay, .2 is used, .3 is used, .10 is used, .100 is used. So you don't want to repeat this IP. So any IP which is not shown here, you can use that. Of course, if you are, come on, I can just look at this one. I have one IP. That is also okay, but then you are a cheater. Okay, don't be a cheater. So yeah, based on the output here, I know okay there is actually plenty of IP left for me to choose. So I can just go in and then pick any IP that is not shown in the list here. Okay, so actually if you want, you can also write this down. So the IP used is 192.168.1.1 to 168.1.2. So these are all the IP used. So any other IP is going to work. Yes, you're right. So Chumin, you're right. Anyone who don't reply, it means that the IP is not used. So this is the trick that we use today. Okay. Now, of course, the other thing is like you can even make this even better, because you know I'm a Chinese. I trust all this feng shui stuff. So if I want to assign a new IP, I want to have 8 in my IP, so that I feel everything is going to be fine. So if you don't want 88, you can put like 188. So Chinese, okay. But if you put 188, then the administrator will still know this one must be a Chinese hacker, because so many 8. Then he go and catch all the Chinese guy. So if you want to be even safer, you put 44. Then they thought this cannot be a Chinese, because Chinese don't like 4. Then they don't catch any Chinese hacker anymore. Okay, but this is not going to work in the US lah. They don't know our culture. So yeah, anyway, you can pick any IP again. So for my case, now I set this as 188. Okay, now after you do this, click X, go to IP config one more time. If you do IP config now, you should see your IP has already changed to 188. Now you need to do this. Any IP is fine. And then once you've done this, just go back to try hack me now and then click complete, and you will finish task 1. Yeah. Now, how to know whether you really done this? You will see a green tick here. Okay, green tick is a good sign for datacom. Green is a good color in datacom, not so good in relationship. So anyway, I hope all of you here until now, we have done task 1. You should get a green tick for task 1 now, and then we'll move on to task 2 in 5 minutes. Okay, so now we'll take a short 5-minute breaks so that you can catch up until here, and when we come back, I will explain how we do the real hacking stuff. Okay, until now we haven't do any hacking yet. We just simply change our own IP address. Okay, so yeah, you should get a green tick. I think blue tick is better. I hope one day I get a blue tick, or I can just Photoshop a blue tick to my IG. Anyway, yeah, if you want to try this further on your own, you can do that. But if you think you need me to guide you along the way, we'll come back again at 8:50, and then we go into task 2. All right, see you in a few minutes. Go and get my coffee. Okay guys, so I hope you're already done with task 1 and really should catch up here. And yeah, if you haven't task 1, then task 2 is going to be hard because the challenge here is progressive one, so you need to do the 1, 2 and 3 in that order. Anyway, I think most of you should have done it. And now we want to talk about the real hacking, okay? But of course, what you do here today is nothing is real. We are just doing them on Packet Tracer. You know, Packet Tracer is just a simulation tool, so nothing here is real. Okay, if you want to post any story to tell people you are a hacker, don't let them see Packet Tracer. Just show them the command prompt. It looks a bit real. Anyway, yeah. So, but the concept that we learned today about hacking is real. Is how it happened in the real world. Just that the way you do it is actually different. Now, we want to talk about this thing called a network reconnaissance. Okay, when you are into hacking, or let's say one day you learn about hacking, which I think you will very soon when you take the cybersecurity subject. Okay, then that is a subject where you learn how to hack a web server. You can even hack a web server. If you think assignment due date is tomorrow, your lecturer wants you to submit your assignment to Weber, then you cannot finish your assignment. Don't worry, just crash the server, then you don't have to submit. Your friend also don't have to submit. That will work. Okay, I will show you in cybersecurity how you do it, but of course we don't do it on the real Weber server lah. Okay, anyway, that is the kind of thing you learn in cyber. And every time we start when you want to get into hacking, you need to know there are a few tools that is very helpful. Like you go to any guy who are into hacking, there are some tools that is always used commonly by everyone who know how to hack. Okay, and one of the program is actually what you already use, which that is NMAP or NMAP. Now, in the lab, you learn about this program, I think NMAP in lab exercise 3, and then you see the list of open ports. Now, from the lab itself, you might not know, okay, NMAP is actually used by hacker, because the way you see it in the lab manual is just you see something like this. Okay, you might not even know what you are doing, even though you finish the lab. So, but actually, this thing here is considered a hack, and most of the network already block NMAP, which means that you cannot use NMAP to scan the network because it's very intrusive. You can see too many sensitive informations. Now, NMAP is used for many reasons. It is not just used for doing a port scanning, but today I'll explain how this port scanning works anyway, and then I'll tell you why people want to use NMAP when we are doing hacking. So, first thing, this reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means you want to do a first round of spy work. Think of this like, okay, now I'm Alex. I got into Apple campus already. So this is the Apple campus. Now, as Alex, what I see is only visible for me until here, this range. I cannot see anything else. I do not know how many servers they have. I do not know who else is online. I do not know what kind of firewall they do, or what kind of security setting they have, or how strong the network defense is. So if you really want to be a great hacker, the very first thing is you need to know your opponent, your rival. So now this is turning into Art of War, Sun Tzu Art of War. If you haven't taken Sun Tzu, now you can listen to me talk about Sun Tzu. Okay, you want to know your opponent. And network reconnaissance means you use a tool to scan the whole network to find out about all these basic information, like, okay, how many firewall they have, how many intrusions detection system they have, what kind of configurations they have already set, so that you know how or the right tool to break inside, to do whatever you want. And that is reconnaissance. So reconnaissance, this word, it comes from World War, like back in those days when, you know, I think everyone of us say too young, but when they have World War, the first thing is, before you attack any people, you want to know what kind of army they have, what is the size of the army, what kind of like the army that they're using, like whether it's a soldier or an archer or whatever, okay, how many planes they have. So for you to know this, they will send a plane, a small plane, to fly over the opponent camp to see, okay, whether they are ready already, or what is the strategy, what is the formation. Okay, I played a lot of Total War, so I know. Now, because of this, that action is called reconnaissance. It means that you want to spy first before you plan your strategy. So when it comes to hacking, it's exactly the same. We are going to do the same. You don't want to go into Apple campus and then just, okay, I'm going to hack you. Maybe you won't make it out alive. So you want to know how good they are, and then you plan your attack from there. Okay. Now, Jermaine, what do you mean by that? That is from Italy. Okay. Now, so how do we do reconnaissance? The first program that you should install is actually NMAP. Okay. Now, again, NMAP, there are two versions. If you are the keyboard guy, you use the command prompt to use NMAP. If you are the UI guy, you use ZMAP. They are actually both the same thing. So ZMAP is the UI version of NMAP. So if you don't know how to type command, you can use this. You have seen this in the lab. Now, of course, if you are the command guy of people, you can use a command prompt, and then you can just use NMAP, not ZMAP here, right from the terminal. So there are two ways you can do this. Okay, you can either use a program, but you have to download and install this, or you can just use ZMAP command from the command prompt right away, like what I'm doing here. Okay, I can actually scan a network, so I can do something like a command here. Of course, you don't need to know what I'm doing here, because this is not part of datacom, this is in the security. Okay, now, for NMAP, the most two common thing is called scan. Okay, you see here got so many scan. So when we want to scan people to know how many, what kind of network design they have, or what kind of security setting they have, there are many profiles depending on the type of scan you want, the result that you want. Now, for example, you just want to know what is the operating system that is used by Apple. You can actually use NMAP, you can scan, and then you say, okay, try to check all the PC, tell me what OS they are using. That also works. Now, ping scan also can use. Ping scan is like what we do earlier. You can scan the whole network. So I can type something like this, 192.168.1.0/24. Okay. Now, you don't have to know this yet. Again, it will be in cyber. Now, then you do this, it will tell you all the hosts who is online. Similar to what we do earlier when we type ping to a broadcast address. So you will get the same thing. So NMAP, again, why we have all these things is because you want to do a preliminary check on scouting work on like what they have, and then you can plan your attack from there. Okay, so what you have in the lab manual. The other day, I'm sure everyone here have already seen this. Oh, where is my thing? Oh, let me find the lab manual. Just saw it here, and then it's missing now. Okay, it's here. Now, this one, what you see here is called open ports. The way NMAP works, the most popular function is called port scanning. Now, port scanning means that you want to know in a PC or a server what is the program that is running. Okay. Now, why this is important is because, let's say now I want to hack Apple web server, so that everyone in this world cannot see a website when they go to apple.com. They will see, okay, you are hacked by avocado. Okay, fictional, totally fictional. It won't happen. So if you want to do something like that, then you need to know in Apple network who is the web server. Okay, now the way it works, the trick is, if you do a NMAP port scanning, you scan all IP address. You get one result like this for every IP that you scan. And from here, you can already guess whether it is a web server or it is something else. So let's say this is the result that I get after I scan one IP. I see a port 80 is open here. Now, when you see a port 80, it means that, now I know this is a web server, because there is a port 80, and we all know that port 80 is a web protocol. So now I know this machine here is a web server. So this is what we do with NMAP. It's not, okay, I just scan and then I see a port, then I'm happy, done. No. You want to scan because you want to know what program is running. So for example, after this result, I can also say this is SMTP is open. Open means that you are scanning the port whether it's running or not. Okay. Then here I can imply this server is also email server. Because SMTP protocol is for email. Now how do I know? How do I know? It's very easy one. You just have to Google this. SMTP is a simple mail transfer protocol. Oh, then this is an email server. So that means all your one UTA email is actually coming from here. So this is what we want to do with NMAP. We want to scan. First thing, we want to see what are the ports that are open. So if it is a server, there will be many services that are running, and it will be open when you do a scan. Then from that, you try to guess what kind of server this is. Okay, this is how you find out what server you have on the network. Alright, now how this thing works. Let's talk about the concept. So the reason you can see all these things open here like this. Okay, you see 21, 22, 23, 25, 80. Now, why this work is because when you use NMAP and then you type an IP address here, you click scan, it is doing a port scanning. So port scanning, again, the theory is very simple. You want to check what are the ports that is currently open in the server. So the way it works is it will always start with number 1 until the last port number. So NMAP in fact will try all the numbers. So you see here, I will try port 1, port 2, port 3, keep trying one by one so that you know what is open, what is closed. So let's say I try with port number 1. When you click the start button, this is what happened, the scan button. The first thing is, this is NMAP. Okay, the client is NMAP. Now he will do a connection. He try to connect to the server. And this time when he connect, he want to connect to port number 1. So he's trying to connect to port number 1. Okay, now this is the idea here, but the way it actually do this is he will just send for number 1, he sent SYN. SYN is short for synchronize. Now you don't have to know in the internal workings yet, you just need to know at this stage like this is how it really works. We will always send an SYN to synchronize. So every time you want to start a connection, you will send a SYN data to a server so that the server know you are trying to connect. Now if the port is open, let's say now we assume this port is actually open on the server, then the server will now reply to you an ACK. ACK is the short for acknowledgement. Okay, so for those who are not from UK and cannot read my slang, I write this down for you. SYN is synchronize. Okay. ACK is acknowledge. So these are the two flags that is used to start and acknowledge the connections. Okay. So with this thing, NMAP, your NMAP will tell you, okay, now port 1 is open. Then later he will see this result, 1 is green color. Then he will try with port number 2. Okay, now this time I'll repeat the same thing. Like I said earlier, you will keep trying for all the number. So he try number 2. He again will send SYN. Okay, now let's say this is open again. So this is open. The server reply back to you with an ACK. And then here you will see, okay, port number 2 is open. Okay, now you will keep trying for the third one. So he will try for number 3. So now he sent SYN to number 3. Let's say now this port is not open. This time this port is not open on the server. Then what happened is you will not get an ACK. Okay, this one will never arrive. So after that, NMAP will wait until so long already still no reply. Then now I will assume, okay, because no reply then I will assume port number 3 is closed. Alright, he will keep doing this until like, okay, later 21 is open, 80 is open. So this is the reason why when you look at the output in your lab manual, you see this. It means that he try 1 until 20 all closed, then 21 open, then you see green color. Then he try 22, oh, also open, 23, oh, also open. Then 24, okay, closed, then 25 open. That is why you see this kind of output here. Alright, so this is how port scanning works, and with this one, it's really useful because then we will know, okay, on this particular device, what program that they are running. And then I can plan my attack from there, okay? So for example, if you want to hack a database server, you want to find a server that is running a database service, then you hack that server. You don't want to randomly just pick a server and then you hack, right? Okay, so this is port scanning. Now, before we move on, I want to make a concept clear. What I showed you earlier is to let you understand why you see certain numbers in NMAP result. But actually, the real way it works is like this. It's still the same. Let's say I want to scan for port number 1. I start over. You will send SYN. Then if it is open, you will get ACK from the server. Now, there's one more thing here. The client will have to send RST. RST stands for reset. Okay, so RST is reset. So this is actually very important. Now, the reason is because if I try to open a connection to the server. This is a client. Client is who? Is you, your PC. Okay, now you might have a very powerful gaming PC or what. But think about this. If every time I try something like this, I try to connect. If I get a reply, it means I want to connect. Then you will actually connect. And if you do so, you are actually connecting to many programs or many services. And this is not good for your memory because then it's like you open a lot of tabs on Google Chrome. Then you will be out of memory very soon. Which is why you want to send a reset to tell him that I'm not serious. I am just flirting around. I don't want to get into a serious relationship. So you tell him, okay, reset. Reset means, okay, I know you allowed me to connect to you. Thank you, but I don't want. Okay, so if you do this, then you are just checking what ports are open, but you don't really have to connect to the server so that you won't be like run out of memory very fast. Okay, so that is port scanning with NMAP. Now, if you understand this concept, finally we can go back to try hack me. So, now we can start to answer some of the questions here. Okay, now is a NMAP ZMAP popular network scanner? Yes. If it is not popular, you won't get this question. So of course it's yes. So you put a true here. Yeah, this is server. Server life is not easy, but if you work as server administrator, it's even not easy. Every time before Chinese New Year, you have to pray that the server don't break down, and then only you can go back home. Okay. Now, second one, ZMAP is the UI version of NMAP. So this is correct. Put true. You know, either you want to use the UI versions or you want to type the command. Okay. Oh no, what happened? I lost it. I need the link. Hold on, guys. Some technical issue here. Oh, why the page is lost? Who closed my page? I think I've been hacked already. Oh, okay, I'm back. Okay, now, so ZMAP is the UI version, yes. Third question, which profile you should use to scan all the hosts? So this one here is actually ping scan. From ZMAP, okay, let me show this to you again. Now, either you want to use the native command prompt and then you use the ping to see who is online on the network, or the easier way is you can use ZMAP. Because ZMAP, you can actually do a ping scan. So this is how you do a ping scan. You go to ZMAP, and then you need to put in the network address. So for example, in our example now, it's 1.0/24, and then you need to click on ping scan. So this one here, this will do exactly the same thing like I said earlier, with like if you ping a broadcast address in the command prompt. So this ping scan here, okay, ping scan. So this is the answer. We just need to type this into the box. Now normally, if people see that you use a command prompt to scan compared to use ZenMap. ZenMap is actually cooler. You are the cool kid in the block. So if possible, you want to use ZenMap. Now, what is the subnet mask in Apple campus? Okay, now let's talk about subnet mask. Again, in this class, you will be using some of the common IP addressing syntax like network mask, things like that, but we won't go into the detail yet. In the next lecture, I will show you how the workings is done. But anyway, we still have to know some of the concept. Okay, let's talk about subnet mask. Okay, subnet mask is, if you already noticed, every time you go to packet tracer and then you configure a machine like this, you always have this thing called a subnet mask. It always comes together with IP. Now, this is a number that we use to define the boundaries of address space. So for example, let's say I have one big address space. I cannot just say that, okay, with this number here, is so big, so many IP, I say everyone use the same block. Then everyone will be in the same network. Okay, if you want to build many smaller network, then every small network need to have their own network address or address space. So with network mask, what it actually means is that you can think of this as a big piece of pie, okay? And you want to chop the big piece of pie into a few smaller pieces so that you can share the pie to more people. Like, okay, one big pie or one big cake, I chop into 6 pieces, then 6 people can share one, each of them get one slice. So the way we chop the IP address is by using this thing called a subnet mask. Okay, now in computer networking, there are 2 types of masks, fixed and variable length. Okay, now fixed length mask is what we learn in datacom. Variable length mask is what you will learn in level 2, which is next year. Okay, so this is also called VLSN. Okay, now luckily for us, we only focus on fixed, which is very easy. So you just need to remember it this way. There are 3 fixed masks: /8, /16, /24. Only 3. Okay, now again, the reason we have masks is so that we can break a big address space into a few smaller ones. Now let's talk about /8. So when we write masks, you can write them in decimal notation, or you can write them in slash notation. So decimal notation is used if you want to configure a device, which means that if you want to go to a PC and then you want to type in a mask, you need to make sure you type in decimal notation. Okay, the PC or any device only understand decimal. Other thing that you put in is an error. Okay, but as we learn datacom, as we write even your answer in the exam, we always write in slash notation because this one is quick, it's short, it's easy, it saves a lot of time. So they are the same thing, just that it is used in different way. So for example, let's talk about a slash notation first. So /8 is a slash notation. If you want to write in, so this is a slash notation, and then we have binary. So if you want to write a /8, is 255.0.0.0 in decimal. So there is only 1255. Okay. The reason is because actually if you write in binary, you will see there is 8 bits of 1. So if you convert binary to decimal, is 255. Now that is too much. Next week. Now I want you to just remember this way. So a /16, when you write them is in a binary notation, is 2 of 255. So 255.255.0.0. Okay, now a /24 is 3 of 255, so you will have 255.255.255.0. So this is how it looks like. A /8 you have 1255, /16 you have 2 of the 255, and 24, you have 3 of the 255s. Okay, so this is the decimal notation. Now, if you come back to this, all the while we always use 255, 255, 255 is actually a /24 notation. Alright, so based on this idea here, let's go back to try hack me. Okay, what is the subnet mask used in Apple campus in decimal? So decimal is 255.255.what. So you can actually easily find this out using any IP, any device. So you can check from here or here or here or here. So of course, to make this game to be a little bit more realistic, I can only use LXPC. Okay, so I go in here. From here, now this is the mask 255.255.255.0. This is the answer. So we type this into try hack me now. 255.255.255.0. Okay, done. Next, what is the subnet mask in / notation? So we know it's 3255. Refer to this one. 3255 is 8 or 16 or 24. If you already have your coffee, you know it's /24, so easy. Okay, then yeah, this is the correct answer. Now, next question. What is the network address for Apple campus network? So the network address means the very first address. Okay. Now in this case, like I said, next week I will show you more example, but now I will show you one very simple example of network address. Now, if you want to find network address, you just need an IP of any device in the same LAN. You need the subnet mask. Okay, if you have these two things here, you can find out what is the network address. Okay, which is what we want to do for this challenge now. So, do we have this? Let's see, do we have this? An IP of any device. Yes, actually we have, because we are Alex, so I can just take Alex IP. Okay, so now I go to this try me again. Sorry, go to your packet tracer. Then I click here. Now this is my IP 1.88. So I copy my IP address out. I have 192.168.1.188. Now this is 188. Okay. Now the second thing I need is the subnet mask. Do we have subnet mask of this network? Actually have. We just done this like few seconds before. It's /24. Or you can also see now this is my subnet mask. Okay, so now I will copy this out. 255.255.255.0. Okay, now I have both of the things I need already. So the next thing what we do is, now we will take these two values now. So you know the first one here, this is the IP address. This is the subnet mask. Okay, we will do an AND operations. Now AND operation is if you have, you know the binary thing lah. If you have 1, then it become, if you have 1, 1 is 1. Other than that, it's all zeros. Okay, I don't cover all these things here because you will pick this up in another subject called ICOA. So to make this easy for everyone here, you just need to know what we are doing here is an AND operations. And the trick is, every time you see a 255 in the subnet mask, it means that you just reuse back the same value. So you will just copy back 192 here. Now again, 255 means that you use back the same IP value. 255 means all 1. So if you do an AND operation, you get the same value. So 168 here. And then here again, the next 255. So I write 1 here. Okay. Now in the 0 here, if you see a 0 in the mask, then everything is 0. So in this case, this one here, I cannot write 188. Instead, I should write 0. And this is the network address. Okay, this is how I find out. Now another thing, let me just give you another random example. So let's say I have an IP 192.168.3.123. I have a mask of 255.255.255.0. Now again, I can do the same thing here. Okay, I can just do an AND operations if I want to know the network mask. So again, same idea here. 255 means I copy back the same IP 168.255, so again it's the same, so I copy back. Now 255 and 3, so again it's the same, so I will just write 3 here, and then here the last one here is 0, so I need to write 0 for the last octet, and that is the network address for this IP and mask. Okay, now one last random example. Let's say if I am given 192.168.2.222, then the mask is different this time. Instead of 3255, I have 255.255.0.0. So this is how it looks like. Okay, the idea is the way we do it doesn't change, just there's a slight difference here. Okay, look at this. First octet 255.192, so write back exactly the same one. Second octet 168 and 255, so write the same one. Now here is 0, so we know if the mask is 0, then here you have to write 0, and the last one here is 0, so you have to write 0. So this is the network address for this IP address and mask. Okay, and that is how I find out, okay, what is my current network address, which is actually very important. So let's say if you want to attack the whole network, you don't want to attack one single guy, because like, okay, if I hate you, that one person, I want to hack the whole network so that you don't even have a job anymore, something like that. So then for that kind of hack, you want to hack this IP, you want to hack the whole network. Okay, if you just want to hack one person, then you want to use that particular person IP address. Alright, so come back to try hack me now. And here we can note is 192.168.1.0/24. Okay, which is what I get here, this one here. Now why I write a /24 is because the way we write an IP address, the full format is you write the IP address first slash the mask. So this is how we write it. Now in this case it will be 192.168.1.0/24. Our mask is 24. So this is the answer for this challenge. Alright? Okay, so submit. Yeah, get it. It's supposed to be very easy. Okay, now what is the NMAP command to scan all the hosts? Okay, again, go back to NMAP. Now this one is a bit challenging, to be honest. So you need to know command. Like it or not, you need to know the command. And we want to know what is the command to scan all the hosts. Means ping scan. We want to know who is online, who is not online, which IP has already been used. So again, what I do is, actually we can cheat a little bit lah. You don't really have to be a pro to show people you are pro. Okay, you can just be a pro halfway, and then halfway is cheating. This is life hack. If you want to make it in this life, you have to know how to cheat 50%, and then you have to be really good another 50%. You don't want to be too honest 100%, then you will get bullied by people. Okay, remember I said this. I know it's weird coming from a lecturer, but this is the truth life hack. Okay, now if you know this, then let's go back to this NMAP. Okay, how I cheat, see this is the command here. NMAP is so good because every time you change any profile or anything, even the IP, the command equivalent will be shown here. And this is exactly what we type in the command prompt. Okay, so if you want to know the command, you click the right profile. Now this one have to be 192.168.1.0/24 because this is our network address. Okay, then this is the command here, already give to you. So you can just copy this one and then come here, paste. Oh, it doesn't copy. Okay, let me try to copy this thing. Why you don't copy? Then never mind, I will just type in my own. But yeah, this is where I get the command lah. So yeah, you can also do the same if you want. Or you can just copy whatever I'm writing here. Cannot get this word. NMAP test. Autocorrect trying to be smart. Yes, this is exactly the same here. Okay, so if you type this correctly, click submit, you should get the marks. Yay. I'm actually nervous for a second. Okay, now how many hosts there are online? We have done this earlier, so now what we need to do is just to count. So of course, if you are a cheater, this is how you count. Go back to this network here. And then you can just count like, okay, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't forget to count yourself. 7. Okay. Now, of course, the right way is like what we do earlier, ping to a broadcast address and then count. So the right way to do this, technical way, if you want to post story, this is the right way. Okay. So you just need to count how many unique IP address we have here. Of course, you don't want to count the same IP twice. Okay, so make sure it has to be unique. So we just wait for the ping to run until you get all the reply first. And then we'll count all the unique IP address. Okay, so this is done. Now I start to count. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The rest are repeating, so 6. Now, of course, you will not see your own IP because you won't reply to yourself. So you have to +1 your own IP, which means that the right answer is actually 7. Okay, so 6 + 1 yourself is 7. Yay, that's correct. Now, 2 more. What is a command to resolve URL into IP address? Okay, now this one, I need to talk a little bit more. So, like I said earlier, when we browse to the internet, when we browse the website, now I open the web browser. This is what we normally do. Okay, we will go to the address bar. Let's say I know the web address. For the website that we go all the time, for example, Weber or IKEA or Apple, we already know the web address. So even that I don't search. Of course, most of the time we just do this lah. This is how we search the internet. But sometimes you will just put in like IKEA.com because I already know the URL. And then you'll see the website here. Now, when we are doing this, on the front end, it looks really simple. One address, click, you see the website. But actually, this action, there are many things that happen behind the scene. And now I want to explain how it works, which is why you need DNS. Okay, so this thing here, this thing that we put in address bar is called a web address or URL, Universal Request Language. Okay, so depending on whether you are the cool kids or you want to do what people normally do, there are 2 ways you can browse a website. Okay, now you can browse to a web using IP address or URL. Okay, 2 ways. Of course, I don't think anyone here actually browse to any website using an IP, but I want you to know that it is possible. So why do we have 2 ways? First way is the URL or domain name, or we call this a web address. So this is something that we are already familiar with, like google.com, apple.com, ikea.com. These are web addresses. Okay, this is the first way. The second way is the IP address of web server. Now, this works, but of course you need to know what is the IP, which is not easy for us. So why we have 2 is because here, this is easy for us human to remember. Okay, it's easy for me to remember apple.com, ikea.com. Now, meanwhile, for IP address, this is used by device to communicate. So you see, the problem is that this web address here is designed for us, but as end devices or server or client, they cannot understand URL. Okay, so your machine here that you are using right now, they don't understand what is apple.com. The server also don't know what is apple.com. Only me and you, we know what is apple.com. So if you want to browse to a website, say apple.com, this IP, this web address has to be translated back into the web server IP. So for example, let's say it is 1.1.1.1. Okay, so for you to see a website, when you type in apple.com in the address bar, what happened behind the scene is this domain name or the URL is translated into an IP address. This IP is the server IP, and only then if you have this IP, only then you can go and see the website. Okay, without this IP, it means that you do not know where is the website. So with this IP, you know, okay, this is the web server IP. Inside this server, there is a web page called apple.com. So when you browse here, you will see apple.com. That is the reason why. Okay, it could be a PHP file or it could be a HTML file, but we know for sure apple.com is inside here. Now, this whole process is done by domain name service, or in short, we call them a DNS. Okay, so DNS means that the server who do this translation for you. So for example, now I go to Chrome, I type apple.com. Okay, the second thing that happened is your Google Chrome now sends a DNS request to the web server, to the DNS server. Okay, now the DNS server will return a DNS reply. Okay, now you see, okay, let me add this thing here. You will say, what is apple.com IP? I will ask a question. Then he will say, the IP of apple.com is 1.1.1.1. Then once your Chrome get this IP, can now send HTTP request to 1.1.1.1. So this is what happened behind the scene. So it looks very easy in front, like, okay, I type, I see. But behind the scene, this is what happened. We have this thing called a domain name resolutions that is happening. Okay, so to explain a little bit more about the concept, let's look at the diagram here. So let's say we have this example. In this example from the challenge here, okay, we want to see this is apple.com. Now, why we need to do a DNS lookup as a hacker? Okay, you see, now I'm Alex. Okay, my job here is later on I want to hack into this Apple design server to do a DNS poisoning. But again, we are not supposed to see this thing. Okay, so in fact, Alex do not know, the hacker that he want to hack into later, what is the IP address. What Alex know is this server that he's going to hack later has the domain name apple.com. So this is normal, like, okay, this is a server, this is the domain name. So let's say if I'm Steve Jobs, the way I work is I go to office every morning, I turn on my PC, I open my web browser, I type in apple.com. Okay, then I say, oh, this is Apple website. And this is true, like, even like in Utah, we have our own employee website. If you work in Intel, you have your own website. So this is how we go to the web resources or website to do our work. Okay, to send email, to tell people to do work. Okay, now you see, what we have as end user is I know this, but I do not know what is this IP. So as a hacker, one of the things you want to do is you want to know what is the IP address of the server that you are trying to do some hacking on. Okay, which is why later on you will see that we will do this using a command called NSLookup. So before that, let's talk about this concept called domain name resolutions. So over here, this is Alex. Now Alex wants to know what is the IP address of apple.com. Okay, so later on he can do NSLookup. I will tell you later, but now see how it works. If I want to browse to apple.com, first you need to send a DNS request. So this is DNS request. And this message is asking, what is apple.com IP address? Okay, now once this thing reaches here, this guy here, he will check. Okay, inside here, you will see there is this thing called a DNS table. So he will check, okay, now I know apple.com is 192.168.1.1. 100. Okay, he will now send a reply back. So now this is a DNS reply, and then he say apple.com is 192.168.1.100. So this only two messages, one from Alex to the DNS server and from DNS server back to Alex. So this is like, okay, once I have this, now your browser, this one here, this guy here, can use this IP, and then he try to go to 1.100, which is actually this guy. So this is what happened behind the scene. Okay, with this IP now you can browse the web just as how you would normally do it. So I think this part here everybody already know. This is what we have been doing every day. So the only thing new to you today will be here. In fact, there is one more extra thing that happened before you can actually see a website, which is called a domain name lookup, or we call this a domain name resolutions. Alright, so now the next thing is, if you know this, then what Alex is trying to do right now is I want to get this IP and I do a DNS poisoning. So before that, I want to show you what is NS lookup. So this is my command prompt here. Okay, you see what I can do is the same for Windows or Mac or anything. The command is NS lookup. With this one here, you can actually ask this command to tell you what is the server IP. So if I want to know what is apple.com, I can just NS lookup and then followed by the domain name. You've done this in your lab one, I think. Okay, so you press this, then you will see a few IP. This first IP is your domain name service. Okay, this is the real DNS who do the translation for you. And then this one here is the apple.com server. This is the real IP. Okay, now if you are from my lab, we have already done this. You know that if you manage to get the IP address of any server, let's say for example google.com, and you know this is the google.com IP, you can in fact directly browse to the google.com using this IP. So this is like, instead of using this domain name, I can type this web IP address, the server IP, I press enter. You see I will still be in google.com. So what I have just shown is that in fact it's true that you can go to a website using the domain name or the IP address directly if you know what is the IP. So the command for us to know what is apple.com, this is the real apple.com. Okay, now we have another apple.com inside packet tracer. So you want to use the one inside packet tracer. Okay, so what Alex can do is I go back to my command prompt. Okay, command prompt, and then I go to the type NS lookup followed by apple.com, and then I see now this is the IP address of apple.com web server. So this is how I find out, and this is really very important trick, because if you know this command and you know the domain name, you can always find out what is the IP of the server. And if let's say one day you want to launch a DOS attack, this is the IP that you need. You cannot DOS this thing. You can only DOS this IP. Alright? So coming back to try hack me, we are almost there. One more challenge, then we are done. The command is NS lookup. Okay? Now assume that you know it's apple.com. What is the IP address of this server? So we have just done this earlier. It is 192.168.1.100. So we need to type this into try hack me now. 192.168.1.100. That's it. Done. Another green tick for you. Congratulations. So now I'll give you 5-minute break. When we come back, we do the last part here. Okay, and then you will get your QR code. So just a quick one, 5 minutes. I'll see you back again in 9:45. We'll finish the rest and then we get the celebrations together. Okay, so see you in 5. Okay guys, welcome back to the last challenge of today. So we are already in task 3, even hacker take a break. If you don't take a break, then people know you are a hacker. You want to blend in like normal. Work for 1 hour, drink coffee for 2 hours, gossip for 2 hours. That is the normal work culture. So you want to blend in with the society. Okay, now we want to do task 3, the last one. And then, yeah, in a short while, you'll get a celebration plus the QR code of the day. So later on, after you finish hacking everything, you will get a link. In that link, you will get the QR code for this week. Okay. Now again, I just want to tell you that you don't have to worry too much about the QR. Let's say you forget to scan, you can just drop me a PM on IG or Microsoft Teams. I will always add it back to you. Okay. On the stream, I have to say it in this way lah. Like even if you don't tell me, I'll still give it to you. All right. Yeah. I have to cut that part out. Okay, so do we have a quiz this Saturday? No. Originally, if you check the website, we have a quiz on this Saturday, but I moved it to next week already. So your first quiz 1, which is the first assessment of Datacom, will be on next Saturday. Okay, so no quiz. Now you see all your friends wake up. You wake up all your friends. Okay, now come back to this concept called DNS poisoning. So, first question, what traffic does Alex send? What traffic does Alex send when you type apple.com? So it is called a DNS request. Like I said earlier, okay, this is what we have every time you try to browse a website. The very first thing is your browser is going to contact a DNS server, and the first kind of data that we send or traffic that we send is called a DNS request. Now, can you browse to a website using the URL, which means apple.com, google.com, the domain name, without a DNS server? So yes or no? Do you think it's possible? Like, I go to a browser now, I type google.com, but I don't set my DNS server. Can you see the website? Totally cannot, because we already know. If you type google.com, first thing you need to send a DNS request to the server. So if the server is not found, no people will reply. So you can never ever tell what is the IP of the web server. So this is no. Okay. Can you browse to a website directly without a DNS server using the IP? Yes, this is definitely can. I just show you one example. You can go to Google without typing google.com. Just type in the IP address directly. But who is going to do that? Nobody is going to remember IP addresses. In fact, even if you remember it today, tomorrow it will be different, because IP address might be changing from time to time. Alright? Okay, now next. How many domain name, DN is domain name, is configured on Apple DNS server? So this one, we need to go back to try hack me. Sorry, go back to the Alex challenge, okay? Now, this is the domain name server. So we click to go inside here. Then you see under the service tab, okay, the third one, and in the top tab, click service. On the left, you can find this DNS service. Okay, click here, and then you can see all the DNS record. Now, this is what you see inside DNS server. So currently, right now, we have 2, 1, 2. Okay, now this is how it works now. Like, okay, I ask, can you give me what is apple.com IP? Then he will say, no, okay, now 192.168.1.100. If I ask google.com, then what is google.com IP? Is 80.80.80.2. This is how domain name server reply an IP back to you. Okay, now, so over here, that is 2. So go back to try hack me here, and then put in 2. Okay, cool. Next, what is the message you see when you browse to Apple Design Server? Now again, this is the bonus mark question. What do we see? So you just need to take any PC, okay? Like let's say I use Alex PC. Okay, so here, and then I go to my web browser. I type apple.com. This is what I see. What you see is what stay here, because we know Apple is very secretive, right? Like if you are working in Apple, even if you take a video of a day in life of Apple engineer, or you take a short video of Apple cafeteria, then tomorrow you should start looking for a new job, because you cannot. They are so private. Even campus, they don't let you do. Except the Steve Jobs Theater. The Steve Jobs Theater is open to public, so that one you can take. It's true, you know, like now if you go to YouTube, you can find a day in life video of a Google engineer, Facebook engineer, Instagram engineer, but you cannot find any video a day in life of a software developer in Apple. You cannot find one because it's so secretive. Okay, so now the answer is here. It's right in front of us. So what you need to do is just, of course, if you are lazy like me, just copy paste this one, or you can also type this one into try hack me. Okay, so this is the answer here. You have to type exactly the same, then you get 1 marks. Now, what is the attack used to redirect a web traffic to a fake server? So this one I need to explain a little bit. Okay, this is what we want to do. In fact, the answer is here. It's called a DNS poisoning, which is why you get the title DNS poisoning. Okay, let's cheat a little bit. Write the answer in first, then we explain what is DNS poisoning. Okay, so again, the answer is DNS poisoning. And how does it really work? It's like this. Okay. Now look at this example here. This is straight from Apple campus, the attack plan. So now if Tim Cook, okay, now I will use Tim Cook a little bit because later he feel like why I'm so unfair, I always use Steve Jobs, and then he feel like left out. So now Tim Cook browse apple.com. So he go to browser, he type apple.com. Okay, so we know first thing will happen. This one come here. He asks what is apple.com IP. Okay, then we know this guy here as the server, he will check the IP is 192.168.1.100. He will reply to this one is 192.68.1.100. Okay, so this is the normal thing that happened. Okay, now when we do a DNS poisoning, it means that we want to redirect the user from going to the real website. Instead, we want them to go to a fake website. So now Alex is the hacker. So now what we do is we host a fake apple.com here. And then we want to trick user to come here. So next time when Tim Cook he type apple.com, instead of going to the real apple.com, now it will be redirected to the fake apple.com, which is here. Now just now when you see the website apple.com, welcome to apple.com, the website is inside here. Okay, now we will want the user to come here and we show them a fake website, like phishing attack. You can ask them to put in their credit card, or they will log in and then you get their password or something. Okay, depend on what you want to do lah. But right now, we just want them to go to the fake website so that I can take control or do whatever I want with it. So this is called DNS poisoning. Now the way it works is you have to first go into this DNS server, and then we want to change the entry. So originally here, if you look at the DNS server is pointing to the right apple.com. Now what we want to do, we change this IP to my own hacker PC IP address. So in my case is 1.88. This is Alex's own IP. You do this, you click on the save button. Then you see now it changed to 188. So what it means now is anytime everyone asks the server, give me IP address of apple.com. Instead of giving them the real one, now I will give them the wrong IP, which will bring them to the wrong location later, wrong server. Now of course it looks cool on paper, but in the real world it doesn't mean you can do it like that. You still need to either have physical access to this server so that you can make some changes, or you need to use a script to remotely change the entry in the server. Now in packet tracer example, it's so easy. I just click one button, save. But in the real world it's a bit different, but the concept is the same. So I just want you to understand that this is DNS poisoning concept. Okay, now what I've done is I changed apple.com to my own fake hacker IP, and now you see if I use any PC now, I browse to the same domain name, because as end user I will not know what happened behind the scene. I always use apple.com. Then you see, oh, you has been hacked, because it's a deface. Your website has been defaced, and then you will put your name. Who hacked you? You hacked by avocado, just to show off that I know how to hack people in a fake packet tracer example. Okay, now if you have done this, then you will see normally when we hack people, we want to leave some message to tell them, okay, who hacked you, how much you have to pay, what you have to do if you want to take control back, like a ransomware or something. So yeah, what is important for you is here. This one here is the QR code. The Easter egg is here. You found it. Congratulations. You want to go to this link. Inside there are 8 QR code. You find whichever tool that is related to you. You scan the code, and then you get the attendance for week 4. So no website. The website, I won't put it up on the website. You scan it from here. Now again, if the code is expired, don't message me. I will automatically add it back for you. Okay, so this is the code. For those who are still sleeping and you want to cheat, you can just copy this one, but you have to type it on your own. For those who are really doing this with me, then you can copy and paste this one to your Google Chrome browser, and you get your QR code. Okay, now that is DNS poisoning. So let me explain what happened here. So I changed this one, apple.com, I change it to the IP of Alex. So Alex is 192.168.1.100. Sorry, 188. This is 100. Okay, so initially this is 100. I change this to 188. So in the future, or until like anyone find out, every time I type apple.com, all the user will now be redirected to this guy, because now I thought that this is the real server. So this is called a DNS poisoning. Okay, now it looks cool, for Instagram story it looks cool, but if the people that actually know hacking, they know that you are just a kiddo. We are all just kiddo, otherwise I won't be here. I'll be hacking Domino for free cheese and pizza. Okay, so that is what we want to do today. Now let's finish up the challenge so that we get the celebrations. So what is the IG account that you find? This one you don't need to do, you can already guess if you follow me. Free answer for the follower. Okay, have you followed this IG account? So if you already follow me, you click yes, then you get it right. Only one right answer. If you don't follow, you put no, then you cannot get full mark. So now I force you to follow me. Okay, this is just kidding. You can just put yes. Okay, the answer is yes. This one is just to wake you up. So it doesn't mean that you have to do this. Just put yes so that later on all of us here can get the full marks. Then we get the celebration. Okay. I hope you're not a cheater. Okay, you can get your QR code from the hack website. So this one is done. Click complete and then yeah, you will see the confetti drop down. That means you've done all 3. Congratulations, you finished the first challenge. Now you can share this on your Facebook. Okay, and for those who have done this, great job. For the revision, you can just replay the video in 2x speed. For those who are still on the bed, please make sure you try this, because this is actually part of your exam. And yeah, that's it for this stream. So let's wrap this up. What we learned is, so far we done a hacking challenge, although it's not really real, but the concept is real. We learned how DNS work. We also learned what is DNS poisoning. And then I think for those who have done this, shout out to you. Oh, our best lecturer. I like that name so much. Okay, hehe, and all these things. If you see your name here, congratulations. You are really great. Thank you for trying. And I'll see you on next week, same time. And we'll learn more about IP addressing. Okay, so that's all for this class. I'll see you on the next one.